Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how I fix my iPod Touch. This is the second generation, 16 gigger, and it's been dodgy since I bought it. In other words, it works and it doesn't work, and it works, and then it'll reboot itself, and currently it won't even turn on. Okay, so even doing the hard reset, holding the home button and the power button at the same time, it doesn't initialize it. But I have a way of fixing that, and the way I fix that is by doing a little trick I do with an ultrasonic cleaning bath, 91% alcohol, 91% isopropyl alcohol, that is. Has to be 91, can't use 70. 70's got too much water in it. 91% alcohol. I use a small tub, and basically what I do is I put the put the main board or the motherboard of the iPod Touch into this tub, fill it up full of alcohol, and then dip it into the ultrasonic cleaner for about 3 cycles at 480 seconds. And usually after letting it dry and putting it back together again, that works. So I'll show you how to do that. First step here is taking apart the iPod. I'm sure you've seen 1,000 videos on that. You're also going to need a soldering iron to remove the battery on the iPod Touch as well. It's on the version second generation. Sorry, the battery is soldered right into this device. So I'm sure you've seen 1,000 videos on how to take one of these things apart. So I'll probably fast forward through that in the process, just showing you the highlights. So, tool I'm using to take it apart is actually an X-Acto knife, and what I did is I took the blade out of an X-Acto knife, reversed it, put the sharp end into the knife itself, like that, like so, tightened it up, and as you can see now I have a fairly smooth metal tool with a somewhat of a beveled edge around it to use as a spudger or pry tool to open this up. And I always start at the top, near the top left. Don't go too deep. I've already cracked this open so many times that it's quite easy to take apart. As you can see, that's already, just with that little bit, it's already pried open somewhat. Okay, so let's just go all the way with this. Now, I've already cracked the screen on this, opening it up, so I'm just warning you that it's quite fragile and easy to do that. So, once you have the top lifted up a bit, like I do here. Now this one's, like I said, easier to open because it's been opened so many times. I work my way down this side and open it up. And don't go deep, as I said, because you'll crack the screen like I did. And don't pry the front or the top part of the glass off because it's attached to the circuit board. So keep it fairly level, just lift it up about a quarter of an inch, maybe, or in millimeters, about 4 or 5 millimeters, but no more. Just undo the edge of the digitizer screen, and to remove it. My primary function for using this iPod second generation is just to plug into my stereo unit and listen to iHeartRadio. And so it's really handy that way. Unfortunately, it's not reliable. I bought it on eBay to repair, but never could get it to work perfectly. But this is how I repair it, and usually the repair lasts a couple months. Okay, so there, I've released the frame. Next thing you need to do is remove the connector here at the top, like that. There we go. Oh, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver as well, so I'm going to go get that. And it's got to be a really fine point Phillips. Alright, I got my Phillips. It is a Phillips 000 in size. Seems to work for this. And we're going to remove all the screws from this iPod. As I said, there's 1,000 videos on how to do this. So let's just get at it. zoom for you here. Okay, first screw was right there, as you can see. And as like I said, we're going to be removing the whole circuit board. There was another screw here I also removed, so there's two here, one here in the center. This is the top part is the RF module, or the radio frequency Wi-Fi module. It has the antenna in it. That's the antenna right there. And we're just removing the screws here. No particular order, because they all have to come out. There is an order on the circuit board though. I'm going to lift the screen off. Now this is a whole plate that covers the whole battery and circuit board. There's a screw up the top here I already removed. Be careful with this. Like I said, it's got a circuit connector right here. Remove all these screws. And I've gone through this iPod many times. As I said, doing the same repair. I wouldn't say it's permanent, but it lasts for a while and it's worth doing as far as I'm concerned. It brings it back from the dead. Again, this is for second generation. I don't know if it works for any other iPod. As you see this little red wire there, I installed that myself to fix the speaker issue on this. So as I said, it's been repaired quite a few times. Okay, so we lift this plate and lift it off, and the battery's attached to it. Okay, as you can see. But the next thing you want to do is remove the LCD and just unclip it from the motherboard like that. It just pulls off straight up. Okay, next thing you do before you take any more screws out of this unit is you need to unsolder the battery, because the other two screws, or four screws I should say, are here, 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 and here, and they're very close to the circuit board. You could easily short the circuit board out by, as you can see, it has a ground strap here, by shorting that ground strap against something else, and that's rather dangerous and could cost you the iPod itself. So I use a flat tip 25 watt soldering iron, and I just place it across all three terminals like that and desolder that battery connector. Now the iPod is no longer, excuse me, it's no longer attached to the battery, so the battery can just be lifted away. Now you're down to the circuit board itself. Next thing you need to do, right here, got a little connector that goes up to your switches, and it just lift it up. You see that this little black has a little black connector right on the front. Lift that up and remove the patch cord right here. Okay, so let me do that. There we go. So now you can take the rest of the screws off. As I said, this is not really a disassembly video, it's a repair video. There's a million videos out there to show you how to take this thing apart correctly. So I'm not really concerned that, you know, that it's the greatest quality in that sense, but it is key to get that battery disconnected before you start taking screws off the circuit board though. I fried one doing that. Okay, so there's all the screws off that unit. So now we're going to take the top part off here. Just lift it up. And normally this part of the circuit board would be taped with almost like a double-sided sticky tape to the back of the chassis, but as I said, I've had this apart so many times that that's mostly gone, that stickiness there. So lift that up and then lift the motherboard out, and you've got the motherboard out of the chassis. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to lift the speaker cover off. Reason for doing that is to expose the circuitry underneath and allow the ultrasonic cleaner to actually get into that area, the solution from the ultrasonic cleaner. Best way to remove the speaker is to start on this side, as there's no circuitry. If you pry from the other side, you're going to have problems. So just lift it up like that. Careful, because it is attached. It is a speaker. It's got a connector on it, as you can see. And that's that. Now the next thing you do is get your little container. And the reason I use a small container is because that way I use less alcohol. I could fill the whole tub on the ultrasonic cleaner with alcohol, but that would be kind of expensive and wasteful. I mean, you can if you wish. And the part that we're going to be soaking is the motherboard right there. So after you've done that, take your 91% alcohol and soak it. We're going to dip it in that. So remember, alcohol is dangerous in the sense that it's flammable. So careful around any open flames or sparks with this stuff. Also hurts if you get it into one of your cuts too. Now the circuit board is fully submerged. I'm not sure whether you can see that or not, but it is. It's under entire thing is under alcohol, and the level next here. Hold on. Let me just zoom this out. The level is about a finger depth on this cup. So I'm just going to put this into the ultrasonic cleaner here. Right there for you to see. And as you can see, it's floating a little bit, which is okay. It means my level of water and alcohol is more or less equal. Around the outside of this container there's water, and the ultrasound goes right through this plastic container. So use a plastic container if you can. And absolutely don't use anything but a plastic container, or if you don't have it, fill the whole tub full of alcohol and use it that way. Now I'm going to put it on for 480 seconds, and I'm going to fast forward this because I'm going to do this a couple of times. Okay, it's going to go through, I'm going to cycle 480 seconds 3 or 4 times. Okay, so as you can see, I've run this through 5, 6, 7 times at 480 seconds, and I fast forwarded that through the video just to save you that hassle. You take it out, it's all wet, but even though it's wet, it's alcohol 91%, and the process has actually made it quite warm. So at this point I'm just going to slide the cleaner out of the way and just let this sit for an hour or so just to let it dry, okay? And I'll come back to it. Alright, it's been over an hour since I took the circuit board out of the little tub alcohol bath, and it's spotless and clean. So I'm just going to put it back together again. I'm going to put the speaker housing back on the back. If you're not certain whether it's clean or not, smell it. It's alcohol. You'll be able to tell right away. Alright. Okay, so there we go. The circuit board is back together again. Now we just put it back into the housing. Basically reversing the process that we did when we started. first thing you do is put this connector back on so you don't forget, because if you forget you'll be taking the whole thing apart again, because you won't be able to turn it on or off or turn the volume up and down. That's what this connector does. There we go. Oh, it's a bit of a trick. Gotta make sure you can see it. Everything's tiny. Okay, there it is. Once you have the connector in the slot, lock it down with a clip. That clip goes up and down like this. Okay. Put everything back into the housing correctly, and can begin to put the screws in. First screws you want to put in are on the bottom, primarily because that's where the most chance of short circuit is. So put in the screws on the bottom half of the unit prior to putting on the battery. That way there's no chance of you shorting anything out. Start with the speakers here. Speakers, I should say, the earphone jack. As I said, this is not primarily an assembly disassembly video. This is more of a how to clean your circuit board and revive your iPod video. Some of the screws have bigger heads than others, so try to use the bigger head ones on the speaker, the earphone jack. You can find some. I'm going to take that one out because I think it's just a little too small. As you can see, my screwdriver is magnetized. That helps a lot. Oops, I lost the screw there. Thought I was screwing it in. Make sure you get the two screws near the connector on the bottom, the charging port. Those are the most important. There's a grounding. Let's see if I can show you that. Sorry. I guess that's the closest I can get to it. There is. Looks like it's a grounding plate. Again, a million videos on how to take these things apart, put them back together again. So I'm just showing you how I fix it, not how to take it apart and put it back together again. And the fix is to put it in 91% alcohol inside your ultrasonic cleaner and run it through many cycles, as you will see. Alright, so there's 4 screws on the bottom half you should put in prior to connecting the battery. That's 1, 2 on the earphone jack, 3, 4 on the charge port. The other 2 holes are there for the plate that goes over top, so don't put those in. Make sure your connector is on, and if you want, you can then put the 3 screws onto the Wi-Fi antenna right here, and that's 1, 2, 3 there. So we'll do that next, and after that we'll solder the battery back on. And hopefully when I'm all done, this will work again. I've done this about 4 or 5 times on this unit already, and it generally fixes it for 2 to 4 months usually. And I suspect the primary issue was that this has been submerged underwater. But it's a great little unit. It's 16 gigs, so I kind of like that. And when it works great. Okay, so there's that. Next, we're going to put in the battery, which comes with that plate. You want to get that nice and flat. So, if you can see, make sure you put the polarity in correctly. If you can see, there's a little bridge on that, and just follow that and you'll know. It goes straight down this way. Like I said, I'm using a 25 watt iron and it's got a flat tip on it, so it's pretty simple to put this back on here. Make that a little flatter, a little nicer for myself. There we go. Next thing I like to do is press it down. That is a bit of a trick. There we go. One, cool down. Two. Okay, we got the battery back on there. Let's move this plate out of the way, because the next thing we need to do is hook up the display, which goes into this little slot down here, just like that. And you can see what happens is that you put the plate in and the display goes on the top. Okay. Again, careful with the connectors. I like to put the screws in loosely first and then tighten them down. You don't have to over tighten them though. So I see people just torquing them right down. It's like, it's not necessary. Snug is good. And the ones that go near the circuit board, definitely don't want those too tight. You don't want to press the plate down onto the circuit board hard enough to make it touch. Short it out. Again, magnetized tip, really great on this. Remember, once you put the battery on, the actual iPod is actually powered. It's not powered up, but there's power going through it. that down. I know it's not the greatest angle, but again, I'm not doing this to show you how to take it apart and put it back together again. I'm doing it to show you how an ultrasonic cleaner can actually fix this. Okay, so let's see if it'll power up now. Nope, nothing there. Let me show you a little trick here. If I can get this to actually, there we go. Okay. What I'm going to do is short this little, right there, block to the, no, that didn't make any difference. So, the only way to initialize this at this point is to plug it into the charge port. So that's what I'm going to do next, and then I'll bring it back. But first I'm going to put the touchscreen digitizer on right here, and it just snaps on. So first of all, we need to put the connector on. Make sure you put the connector on nice, and you'll know because it'll snap in. If you don't get it right, don't force it. It shouldn't be hard to put in there. It's just a little hard to line it, that's all. But once you get it aligned, it just snaps on. Like that. I don't know if you can see that. Again, put the cover back on. Let's see if I can get this to initialize at this point. No, I got to plug it into the charge port. I'll be right back. I plugged it in, charged it up, and now it's got a minimal charge, as you can see at the top there. And you can see there's a crack in the LCD, but that was there from a previous opening. That's not a big deal to change if you know how to take it apart. Next, as soon as you turn it on and have disconnected the battery, we'll notice one thing is that the date and time are totally off. So you got to set your date and time correctly or you have a problem. It's not 1969. It's 2013. December, I think it's the 10th today. Yeah, or 11th. Not sure. Something like that. And the time is correct. So make sure you set your date and your time. But as you can see now, I'm getting all my notifications. And you can tell that the repair worked. You can tell that I'm on wireless now. You can see right over there. And all my updates, because I changed the time, are coming in. That's how I use an ultrasonic cleaner, alcohol, 91% alcohol, and some common tools to repair a dead iPod Touch. Now, granted, remember, this is like the third or fourth time I've done this. I expect this to work for another 3 or 4 months before I have to do it again. But to me, it's worth it to have it for at least that long and have it work. Okay. Jeez, come on, finish. You may want to test your buttons too, your volume buttons here, up and down. Okay, I'm not running anything, so that's probably why they're not okay, there it is. And it's working, as you can see. So is my top button and my home button. So we're good. Wait for that then. Okay, so that's my repair for my iPod. Thank you for watching. Okay, sorry about that. As you saw, it turned off there at the end. Battery's dead on this thing, but as you can see, barely any charge on it at all. So I plugged the charger into it just to finish up. Just missed the low battery warning. And as you can see, it's working just fine. I can hear the sound from the speaker. I'm going to go into iHeartRadio, which is where I'm going to be primarily at on this unit, because I'm going to plug it into a sound system. Let's go to live stations, and about something I've already used. So let's go to, let's say the river. And wireless is working. The whole unit is working perfectly. So if you have a dead iPod that's gotten wet or something like that has happened to it, try that trick. Try putting it into the. Let's shut that off. Try putting it into the ultrasonic bath and cleaning it out. Now, just to be fair, I did use 480 seconds each time on the timing on that bath, and as you can see, okay, sorry about that, guys. And I put it into the ultrasonic bath for 480 seconds, and I did the 480 second cycle probably 6 or 7 times, okay? So it takes a little while, and if you saw on one of those times I had to put a little more alcohol in there because it does warm up and it does evaporate. All right, thank you very much for watching, and good luck with your iPod.